Redditors, what is your earliest memory? Can't remember the age this happened, but I remember feeling really sick for some unspecific reason. I told my mom and she went out to grab medicine for me at the local pharmacy. I really can't remember what symptoms I was feeling or what she intended to grab to help me. While she was out, I started feeling much better and felt bad that I made her go out and get medicine. I remember waiting for what felt like an eternity, sitting at the bottom of our stairs by our front door waiting for her to get home. When she got home I apologized because I told her I felt okay again and felt bad she ran out just to get something to help me. She didn't care. She was just happy that I didn't feel sick anymore. When I was little I guess I got pink eye. My mother was trying to get me to calm down to have eye drops, but I think I took it as a game for her to chase me. The only thing I really remember is my mother grabbing me and slam dunking me onto the carpet. She held me down with her forearm and forced some eye drops in my eye while I just was still laughing and screaming. I would like to believe that my mom rocked so hard I gained consciousness. Walking up to a stranger on a ferry that was wearing the same, very obscure, jumper as my dad, hugging him and loudly proclaiming, "Daddy, I saw a dolphin." Yeah, I went through something similar too. When I was little, my dad used to trim the elderly neighbors' trees whenever they needed. One day I was there, just sitting on the garden of this old lady, while my dad was up in the tree cutting some limbs and the old lady's husband was holding his ladder. Both of them were wearing very similar plaid lumberjack-ish shirts and baseball caps. Then another neighbor's dog, a black and white pit bull, of which I was always terrified, came running out of their house and in my direction. I ran to the old guy certain that he was my dad, legit screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, protect me." He handled it very well, got me up from the ground, and shooed the dog away. When I said thank you, I noticed my mistake, and this is a very first instance of morbid shame I remember. Being told to go for a nap. I was around 2 to 3 at the time, and I refused because I wanted to keep playing and was being defiant. My dad repeatedly put me in my bed and said that I'll feel better if I lied down for a bit. I fell asleep and he woke me up 2 hours later. And shocker, I felt better. Lol. When I was in college I was having a crap day, and one of the reasons for my crap day was that my boyfriend was being niggly. Nothing actually bad, just kinda whiny and needy but standoffish at the same time. I was seriously considering just breaking up with him then and there, but we had plans for the night, so I just lay down on the bed to watch some TV. Woke up an hour later with a completely different attitude. I told him about it, and it turned out he took a nap as well, and also pulled a 180. We both promised to sleep on any major decision we made in our relationship. Sometimes you just need a nap. Edit. Niggly is a real word, and has nothing to do with race. I would have between 2 to 3 years old. I had always remembered it as an out-of-body experience. I was at my grandma's house walking around the pool alone. I know, it didn't take long for mum to find out and ban unsupervised visits with grandma, and I fell in. I remember it as if I was reaching in and saving myself from drowning somehow. It's really hard to explain. I told mum about this in the last few years, and it turns out I was actually saving my brother from drowning, but it had also happened to me, and she thinks I must have merged the memories somehow. My 1 year younger than me cousin was watching me eat a lollipop and got so confused when it was inside my mouth. She kept asking where it went. Then I took it out and showed her. Then I put it back in my mouth and she asked me again where it went. I was 3. She's still my best friend 39 years later. CIEI. Alright, one of my best friends tells this story to anyone that will listen, but my earliest memory is of sitting on the bathroom floor while my mom was changing her tampon. My dad came in and yelled, "What are you doing?" And she said, "He's not going to remember." Earliest clear memory. I think the earliest was of a drawing of a goat on a wall. I was too little and used to crawl on all 4 limbs. I remember my dad took me to a clinic. There I noticed someone crossing the legs for the first time. He was reading a newspaper. I was damn confused about his legs. I wanted to ask my dad, but had no words. I remember my dad laying on the couch with his legs crossed and a blanket over his legs. I asked how he switched his feet. He then uncrossed and recrossed his legs under the blanket as I stood there amazed and slowly figured it out. I genuinely thought he had removed his feet and swapped them and was somewhat disappointed to find out that we can't do that. I remember my grandfather letting me sit on his lap while he played poker with a bunch of other grandpas, and they let me eat all of the cookies I wanted. They smoked cigars and made faces at me. I remember thinking it was hilarious. All of my earliest memories are of him. He was always happy to see me and would pick me up and laugh. He passed away when I was 4. Mine's also of lap sitting, but kind of the opposite mood. I was 3 or SDH, and I remember being at the house of close family friends and the adults were sitting around the table talking. For some reason I used to be terrified of the father of the family, while the rest was basically like my extended family. My parents noticed and probably wanted me to get over it, so they put me on his lap. To my knowledge he isn't a pervert or anything like that. Nothing happened and my parents were right there, but I was freaking out. I remember crying a lot and feeling terrible, like my parents betrayed me for the first time ever. I recently told my dad about this, and he was baffled and felt really horrible. Honestly, he didn't do anything wrong, but I still remember that feeling of WTF, my parents aren't gods, what's happening so clearly. Still don't like that dude to this day. Mayo. Mine's so embarrassing. I remember running down the hall to the bathroom because I had wet my mom's bed. I can distinctly see the hallway and the light was on at the end of the hall and the bathroom point. We only lived there between me being 3 to 4, so it was sometime around that age. Then my next one is sneaking out of my uncle's house, where we were staying temporarily, after leaving the place mentioned above, sneaking into my grandparents' house and trying to turn the TV on in the living room. The houses were like 20 feet apart, 2 trailer houses. I was 2 years old and having kidney surgery, and I woke up halfway through my surgery because the epidural came out of my spine. They had snapped the needle in my spine on the first go, which was great. I remember seeing them working on me, freaking out, as you do, and I managed to rip the line out of my hand, which was pissing out with blood. I remember the excruciating pain that came with all of it as the epidural wore off. I remember pretty much my entire hospital stay and damn near everything since then. I was 4, my brother was 1, his diaper leaked poop on the ground, and I touched it cause I thought it was chocolate. One of my relatives brought that up once in a family gathering when I was in grade 3, and I stormed to the roof, locked myself there, and kept hysterically crying like someone close to me passed away. They still bring both incidents up but very rarely, and laugh about it. TBH, this makes me super embarrassed to this day. I was still in a pram. I remember it more like a dream than any of my other memories, so I think it's my earliest. We were walking across a path of stones in a park, I think, possibly in the town/city I was born in. I'm told this memory was when I lost my favorite teddy bear, and I probably only remember it because I was unhappy I couldn't find him. We eventually found him in a tree. The Challenger explosion. More specifically, the Punky Brewster episode about the Challenger explosion. That episode, and the one where her friend got trapped in the abandoned refrigerator and almost died. I was 3 when those aired, and I remember watching them with vivid clarity. That show existed to traumatize children. Beautiful colorful feathers floating in a gorgeous blue and sunny sky. It's a happy memory. Apparently when I was 3 I saw chickens being slaughtered and freaked out big time. My earliest concrete memory is me backed into corner in the bathroom cowering in absolute terror as my mum advances on me with a look of red mist rage on her face. I'm starting therapy in the new year. Being swung very fast into the air and onto my dad's shoulders. I was 2 and had made friends with a baby swan by grabbing its neck. Mama Swan wasn't having it and chased us out of the park. Edit for clarity, yes, he swung me up onto his shoulders so we could sprint out of the park with the swan on our heels. Fun fact, swans have good memories, and every time we went to the park in the year after she chased us out all over again. During WW2 I was about 8 months old and couldn't walk or talk. I was put in my cot and was bored, so I worked out how to climb out of one corner of the cot. I slid down to the floor and crawled along the carpet to the stairs. The stairs had carpet held in place with brass rods. I climbed down 2 flights of stairs to the hall. The hall had cold linoleum on the floor. I crawled into the kitchen where my mother found me. She carried me upstairs and put me back into the cot, and she hid behind the bedroom door. I climbed out of the cot immediately. She was laughing and saying things that I couldn't understand. She put me back in the cot and I went to sleep. When I grew up I became a mountain climber. I have climbed many of the mountains in my country. I have met Sir Edmund Hillary several times. He was in my club and climbed Mount Everest and drove to the South Pole in a farm tractor, which took him 3 months.